I am so glad you are here. It is alive because it's Wednesday, so I have wonderful people here with me today. Oops, sorry, technical glitch. There we go. Now Instagram is here too. Yay! Hi, Instagram. I have RavenWolf with me today. We're going to be talking about a few things. And Chris is behind us continuing the painting. What are you painting? What parts are you painting today?
I am painting blossoms today.
Awesome. This is going to be fun to watch develop. What are we drinking? What are we wearing? Well, I have a whole host of fun rings on today. We've got some labradorite with this gorgeous silver work around it for the setting, some rough citrine, a cut, like a gemstone cut clear quartz. And if you want to know more about clear quartz, that's Stoned on Friday's video, which I'm not here every day of the week, so I've recorded that one for you guys. I've got this lovely piece and this amethyst and, of course, the little lotus ring. I only have two left. They are disappearing. Just be warned, they're going to be gone soon because they are from Tracy's Treasures and they are from her shop, which was sold a while back. So we're running through her rings for better or worse. What are we drinking? I'm just drinking black tea today. I still don't have my act together enough to have gotten a real herb mug for that. But let's see what's come in. First, I have to tell you, back by popular demand yet again, the next batch of probably Daryl's fabulous Florida water. This one is in a pink tinted glass bottle. And yes, the bottles are not the same as last time. $12, just like last time. They are fantastic. Handmade small batch Florida water. And people are absolutely loving it because it's strong and it works really well. What else is new in? Well, I've got some new releases from Llewellyn. I've got Your Tarot Guide. Are you new to reading tarot? This is a great book to pick up. It does set you up to read tarot pretty easily right out of the gate. We also got in PTS Dreams, Turning Your Nightmares into an Opportunity for Growth, the way to face your shadow self, basically. This looks really interesting to me. I have not had time to delve in. And speaking of one, I have not had time to delve in because we're already sold out on it and it's all RavenWolf's fault.
Oh, no.
Have you had a chance to look at Kybalion for Witches yet?
Barely. I love it's half theory and half practice. So if you want to do it rather than just read about it, it's a very good book to have.
That's very cool. I think that would be a fun way to approach it, personally. What else have I got in from them? I've got Aurora Rising, which is an oracle deck. I'm a little fussy this time about the decks I picked up. I will be honest about that. Most of them are actually published by Llewellyn and not distributed by Llewellyn. I'm sorry to the other publishing houses distributed. But the other fun one I got in is Tarot, and it's the Fairy Wheel. Ooh. So this is a fun-looking deck to me. And that is from one publisher. But let me show you the other new book we just got in. And we're already selling out of.
Yes.
Enochian Aether's The Angelic Deception. This is the experiences and workings through the system for an extended period of time by two gentlemen who knew what they were doing when they got into this.
That.
And they're all, it is literally like what they actually did. So in that sense, it's like a diary, and it's also their reflections on how things worked or didn't work for them and their impressions of what it all means at the end of the day. So this will be a fun one. I am hoping next week, you know who you are out there, and I know you're watching, when the book launch is going to be and when you're going to be on the show. Are you two going to do it together or separately? It's up to you, but we got to get this ball rolling, dudes. Let's go. That's what's new right now. Got some fun stuff coming in, so hopefully a little more next week. As for what's going on and what's happening, Saturday, I have a very exciting event for you all. Emrys Abner, our very own local expert on the politics of angels, is going to come and do a class. He's got a new book coming out this fall. He's got his first book here on our shelves, Solomonic Pentacles. He's an incredibly practical ceremonialist. I would recommend coming to this class, whether you're into ceremonial magic, Wicca, hoodoo, almost no matter where you're coming from, because it is talking about the relationships between different entities and the relationships we make with them. I think this is going to be a really interesting class.
For sure.
even if it's not the specific type of work you do, I think it's going to be worth going to. Hit the QR code. It'll take you to our events page and look for the Politics of Angels if you want to attend. It is a by donation class. So sign up and come check it out. Later that day at 3 p.m. on Saturday will be American Folk Magic. This has been an ongoing popular series that I'm really looking forward to seeing again. This is by our own SU Wes. Totally worth checking out as well. And as long as you're coming down here for the Politics of Angels, stick around for a practical class on magic. I think that would be fun. The following day, on Sunday, that Sunday, July 12th, is tea and tarot time. We do have the tea. And if the cups last, we have the cups. I took out some more cups for you guys.
Thank you.
That's at 1 p.m. And this time it will be with RavenWolf, our very own RavenWolf. The tea and tarot classes are taught by some of our tarot readers, and they take it in turn as their schedules permit to teach those classes. So this month is your turn.
It is.
And then soon it will be Margaret's turn.
Correct. She has next month.
She has next month. Excellent. Sunday, the 19th, we have Reiki 1. So if you want to do that lovely Reiki journey, now's the time. I am finding other people to teach those classes, and I'm excited about that. I love teaching Reiki, but I also love for other people to contribute, and I'm excited for that. There'll be story time on that Sunday. If you've got kids and you want to come in and hear some of our kids' stories being read, Jamie does a beautiful job with that. And on, what is this, the 25th at 3, which is it's a Saturday, we'll have Magical Astrology. That has been our resident astrologer's most popular series so far in his astrology knowledge. He's an encyclopedia on the subject. It's sort of amazing who he's studied with. It's totally worth coming down, no matter your level of astrology, if you're interested at all. He's got an appointment set up today. He'll be doing somebody's chart here today. You can set up an appointment with Adam, our fabulous astrologer, if you would like to get your chart analyzed professionally, or maybe a relationship chart analyzed professionally. He does do that. Tonight, of course, I'll be teaching Herbs Year 3. We're starting to wrap that up. We only have a class or two left. And Herbs 1 was last night. That was loads of fun. I got to talk about the lymphatic system and the immune system and all of the little analogies I made up so that I could get it in my head right. It's always a fun class. If you're interested in that, we'll be starting Year 1 up again this September. So sign up when you get a chance. It's always a fun time. And in October, on October 8th, Black Willow Starling will be here for a concert live in the shop. We'll probably be doing it out on the store floor. We'll be taking all of the middle bookcases out of the space for that event. So they'll probably be in the classroom during the day at some point. So you won't lose access to shopping. We're just going to rearrange how we're doing it for that day, just for them. It's going to be a blast. We have really been enjoying their music here at the shop and listening to them on Cauldron Radio, which is an internet radio station you can check out if you'd like. The concert itself is limited to about 40 people, so sign up when you can. And I'm enjoying this musical thing, so I'm kind of hoping we'll get some more music maybe happening at some point. I'm enjoying it. It also occurred to me that I can't see you as well as I should be able to because I took that off. So, hi. That said, that's all my basics. So no, it's up to you. It's up to you. I throw it to you.
Okay, I'm going to give you the lesson plan. I have 3 European tarot decks to share.
Ooh.
So we'll go through those slowly but surely. Then at the end, we can talk a little bit about what the Saturday's class will feel like.
That sounds beautiful.
Does that sound good to you? Okay. By the way, this is a precursor warning. There is a thing called tarot deck addiction syndrome.
We approve of that here.
Yes, she's a supplier. She's a supplier. That said, none of these are distributed in America.
No.
So you have to get these from overseas.
Yeah, you do have to get these.
That's one of the reasons I chose them, because I think people aren't going to see them otherwise.
Yeah.
Okay, this is called the New Choice Tarot de Marseille 3rd edition. I did not have the first 2 because I just discovered it. Look at that iridescence. This is amazing. You can't always tell a tarot deck by its cover, its box, but in this case, you are pretty darn close to the reality. Rosario Salerno lives in Berlin and is a member of the queer community of Berlin.
Nice.
And what he did was he took his friends and did tarot deck,
I love those.
which is fun. And this will tip my hand a little bit. Where is he? I have him here somewhere. Oh, I had to have this deck as soon as I saw Lamont the Fool, because I swear I saw him at the saloon last week. But anyway, these are great, great cards. It is based on the Marseille deck, but it's got a lot of modernization in terms of the figures. For example, this is another sort of oblique gay reference. On the Pope card, the two acolytes both have leather harnesses on. Okay, well, no problem with that.
And I want to point out Marseille predates
Yes.
the 20th century, and most modern tarot decks are going to be based on some decks that were created in the early to middle 20th century. So this incorporates some older ideas.
You just took my next.
Oh, sorry.
My next deck.
We do that to each
No,
other.
we do
I
that
know
all the
this.
time. Yeah, when I get to the third deck, we'll talk about the provenance of that deck and this one. But you're right, it's Marseille. And actually, my preferred deck is the Jean Noblet deck, which is from 1650, because by then the ideas behind tarot were solidified, but they were not yet underground. So you had a lot of people talking. In fact, can we talk about this? As long as we're doing? Okay. I discovered through a tarot deck called Tarot of the Holy Light. The woman who did it with her partner, work partner, did a lot of research into how all of a sudden this deck appears at the beginning of the 1500s, just out of the blue. And granted, a couple of hundred years before you see predecessors, but nothing like the complete deck, which of course became the Marseille deck. She claims, and I think she may be right, that this is really the convergence, pre-Renaissance and early Renaissance conversion of three streams. First is from the Far East, you have returning to European society after it had been burned by the church. Sorry, church. All of the Pythagorean, the Neoplatonic, all of the philosophical works that had disappeared out of libraries basically came back from the Arab world because they cherished them. They translated them and slowly they made their way back into European languages.
And this honestly, in part, goes all the way back to when Rome split into two empires, and the Eastern Empire, the Occidental Empire, valued that information, and the European side, the Western side, did not.
And you do see it in the Orthodox faith, Christian faith. It is different. It is very focused, and we'll talk about that another time. In fact, maybe we should have a seminar on that.
That would be fun.
How the esoteric tradition peeks out of different religions. Okay, so number 2 is the Empress, and I love her outfit. That dress, oh my gosh, she's great, and obviously very modern. But I do think, in the end of things, this really does follow the deck, the Marseille deck, which, by the way, the Marseille deck did not have any illustrations on the 4 suit cards. So he follows that tradition. However, in his world, pink and lavender and yellow and all the colors of the gender rainbow show up in these cards. So I think you might find that useful. I even like the back. The back is beautiful. I don't know. There we go. You can see that.
Yeah, you'll get your court cards illustrated. You'll get your queens, your kings,
but not the
ace through 9, basically.
Which I guess
ace through 10. Sorry.
I will go early into what I'll be talking about on Saturday. There really is no set meaning to any tarot card, but sometimes when you have those illustrations, which Rider-Waite and Crowley deck, the Thoth deck, both have, your mind is sort of channeled.
Yes.
And what I like to do is take the cards and relate them to Pythagorean number theory, which sounds very abstract, but in reality has a lot of pithy things to say about both astrology and human psychology, and it brings it together. In fact, I don't know if people don't know this, but after Pythagoras lived, a group of his followers, I think, came to southern France and had their own society.
Yeah.
And it worked successfully for a couple of 100 years until outsiders got jealous and worried and came and destroyed it.
Yep.
So it's a really practical way to look at society structure, psychological structure. So we are going to talk about that a bit on Saturday. So
I've gone through tarot from a numerological perspective because I think it's easier to memorize the meanings of the cards.
so easy.
If you know the meaning of the suit and the meaning of that number, you just cross. It's like having your own little Excel spreadsheet in your head.
Yeah, that's true. And it does make sense.
Yeah.
Some things don't, but that does.
It does.
And
Works really
the
well.
major arcana being the spiritual journey and the four suits representing the four elements in our everyday life really fits well. So now that we said that, we're going to totally confuse you by showing you a deck from Belgium called Terra Volatile. Again, a great box, right? Hiding a great deck. And the reason this is confusing is these folk have worked very hard to add a fifth suit.
Yeah.
Drum roll, please. What suit? Vessels. Vessels. And Liz already asked before we started, how is that different than cups?
Yep.
Because they're both receptive, whatever. The suit of vessels details the alchemical journey. So you get in that particular suit a load of symbolism from the alchemical journey.
It almost strikes me as a way of translating the arc of the major arcana into something more personal.
Yep. Something you can do.
Yes.
Yeah, because there is a sense in which the major arcana is sort of ethereal and very Jungian, but the alchemical journey is concrete, or at least if you look at it, you have steps you can go through.
Yes.
And you can say, oh, I'm at Mediterranean and Baltic on the board, and I should go here.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, so we have a couple of fun ones. This is number 6 of the vessels, and I call it the boiling Jesus, because he's being transmuted in the cauldron. And you see the vessels over here, and these little people down at the bottom. One's stoking the fire, the other one is looking at a bird. So yeah, I'm sorry, but there are very detailed explanations.
Yeah.
I didn't bring the book because it's so big and massive, but it does explain the cards. Now, here is my favorite. Now you're going to get an idea of how wicked I am. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of vessels, and it is the decapitated and mutilated and cut apart body of the king, because we all know the king has to die and be resurrected and marry the queen, and then we have an alchemical marriage. Well, they were sparing no expense to show the blood. So I think that's a great card. Again, maybe not for a 5-year-old, but
no,
certainly.
But if you are approaching or have been through an ego death, which all of us, I hope, go through, it's so important to become a happy human being at some point.
True that.
The recognition that not only are your parents not actually gods, but neither are you.
I also just thought of some other warning about this. These decks that I'm showing you are probably not your first deck.
No,
they're going to be ones you have after you get the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, or you get the Thoth deck, and you work with those. Those are the two main streams of modern deck.
Yeah.
However, I do think there's a lot of validity in varietal decks, especially if they have a particular viewpoint they would like to express. Yeah. I don't even object to the cat deck.
No.
Even though I do not own a cat. I have not yet seen a Yorkie deck, so I hope I never do, actually.
It's coming.
No. Okay.
And there are a host of decks that you will never really see in print because you can't, because nobody can get permission, but there's absolutely Muppet decks out there, Sesame Street decks, you name it. Star Trek deck. Oh, that has had permission.
We have come out.
So those have come out. But yeah, you absolutely will see all kinds of crazy modernizations.
So a couple of more cards. As many of the modern decks do that have been done the last 20, 30 years, there is gender expansiveness. Yeah. You have a male and female gender, cisgendered cup card, and then you have the two males, and there's also, I couldn't find them, they were hiding, but there's one with two women, women identified persons. So I think that is just great. Can you see that?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I think that's great. I really do think they did reflect really well on the major arcana. And one last card is 13, which has no number in the Marseille deck, but is death. And they've labeled it, you want to put it up there,
I'm gonna put it up there.
rebirth. And
Because
if you can see
the people staring at us on their phone in the
there
upright
you go.
position.
Can't see it.
can't see
There we
it.
go. Okay. Thank you for noting that. This is a character who is arising out of the earth and new birth is coming, rebirth, which I love. So that's that. We have one more deck and then we'll talk about what we're going to do. We have time for that?
Yeah, we have time for that.
Good. Let's do that. Last but definitely not least is the Salvador Dali deck.
This was one of my husband's favorite
Dali
decks.
Tarot, and really a luscious illustration book that shows you a lot of the background. There were things that were not totally enunciated when he did this deck,
True.
and he did it in the 70s, and I think it was for a James Bond movie that they commissioned it and then decommissioned. They didn't want to use it after all.
Oh, they used
But
that
he went ahead
horrible
and did
deck
it.
that they
Yep,
used.
they used the horrible deck.
It's still in
What was
print.
it? You only live twice, I think.
I don't remember.
Something.
Not enough of a
Not
Bond
as
person.
memorable as the Salvador Dali deck.
Yeah.
Of course. So I think that this is amazing. There is actually a person who's going back in now to research in the art world
Oh.
what may not be exactly apparent. So
Okay.
I think we'll be seeing more of that. And of course, these artists have slightly larger egos than the rest of us. Just tiny bit larger. So there, you want to hold that
Yeah,
up?
I'll hold
Who
that
did I
up.
look like? Guess who?
Take a good look.
Salvador himself.
Yep.
The savior.
He put his own
They put it on the magician. Now he's very fair because the Empress is his wife. So there you go. So that's kind of fun. Apart from that, there are a lot of influences in this that come from different art schools. Here's the Four of Wands, and you can see it's very like 1700s
Yep.
sort of thing.
And it's always, and 4 has always been four is a very stable number. And look at that happy little, it's like they're under the, what is it called? I can't think of the
The
name.
canopy, but I don't know the name of it either.
I want to say it's the hoopah, but I'm probably wrong. But yeah,
But it's
for the wedding.
traditional canopy for the wedding.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of this in here. One good example, I'll go back to the magician, is there are the Hebrew letters, Aleph, and then you have the astrological assignment of each card.
Yeah.
So that is a help.
You
Now-
can see the sun is
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
and then you get the Hebrew letter up in the opposite corner
Aleph.
there.
Which leads me to what this deck came from. There was an actual Spanish deck that he used, and it came out of the Marseille tradition with a slightly different order and a few things different about it. One of the main things, and has to do with Marseille also, is where the heck do you put the Fool? Because in the original tarot decks, there was no numbering for the Fool.
No.
It wasn't 0,
No.
which of course puts him squarely at the beginning.
And he was sort of the wild card.
He was exactly the wild card. So here's the deal. It comes at the beginning. That makes sense. He's stepping off the cliff into the spiritual journey. Dog is pulling on his pants. That makes perfect sense. But the two other places where he shows up, the other one makes some sense too. It is after 21, after the world card, because then you have a clear field. Everything is expansive. All is illusion, but that at the base of the illusion is a reality we can't really understand, but we can experience it. And that's what the world card and the Fool say together.
Yeah.
So that's position 2. The third one is, I think, the weirdest one. And that is, it comes between 20 and 21.
Yeah.
But there is a reason to do that. And part of it has to do with the correspondences between the Hebrew letters and the cards. And so that the Fool is Shin, and then the last letter is Tov. So then you have Shin before Tov. And there are reasons to do that. And that's actually part of what we're going to talk about on Saturday. We're going to talk, Sunday. We're going to talk a little bit about that whole Pythagorean number thing we started last month, but we did not finish it. And the other part I want to talk about is various correspondences of the major arcana, astrological, psychological, and also ultimately to the Hebrew alphabet, because I think that's where that stream comes in. We didn't finish our discussion. We had all these wonderful things coming in from Pythagoras via Islam. And over here, we have the Hebrew Kabbalist tradition, which actually starts in the early Common Era. The first mention of the Tree of Life is like at the end of that first century, and not detailed. And of course, for the next 1,000 years, people were riffing on that and creating different trees and all of that. So it comes into the stream and really informs what the tarot is made of. And the third one is the one I come out of, and that is the one I didn't have much awareness of all the people that were involved in this. And that is in the Christian esoteric tradition. And believe it or not, I know we're in the land of 10,000 Lutherans, but there was a group of Protestant Lutheran mystics. Now think of that. Think of those three words being put together. Protestant Lutheran mystics. And they believed in Sophia and wisdom, and they had this practice, and that is the third stream that comes in. The ironic thing is about 1600, all of these streams go underground. So a lot of this history is not well known, or if it's known to a few people. So I think the last, say, 70, 80 years, as tarot has started to grow in popularity again, people are starting to uncover that background. So we're going to talk about some of that on Saturday. It isn't going to be a history lesson. It's going to be, how does this affect how we read? Because I think the more it's like that old thing on NBC TV, the more you know. The more you know about the history, the more you will understand what the card is saying to the person that's sitting right in front of you.
I agree. I think it's fine to start out with, this is just what I think based on what I'm seeing in the card, or I've memorized a couple of words out of the little guidebook that came in my little deck. When you're buying something this size, not with the full book, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think if you're going to keep using it and grow with it, this kind of information can transform, but absolutely informs your reading and gives you more nuance, more depth, just more richness in how you read tarot going forward. And I was thinking about this as you were talking about things going underground and things popping up and things getting coalesced back together. And it really is a question, I think, of societal wealth. When you have societal wealth, you have time to have these conversations. You have time to hang out. You need the time to hang out. You need to have time to run into a place like this one and just have that weird conversation that you're not going to have with just anybody, but you've got to be able to find those people. You've got to be able to talk to them, and you've got to find the people who maybe either don't know the gem you don't, but know a gem that you've never heard of, or that just flat out disagree with you, because if you can't defend your ideas,
this is true.
They might not be the best ideas in the world.
Well, and that goes right with the format of the class, because you say, what are you going to teach? The first question I ask is, what are your questions? And because there are people there who have never read, there are people that have read for a month, there are people that have read for 20 years. And so you have a rich broth of different questions that come up. And my favorite thing that happens is when one person asks a question and I don't have to say a word, the other person answers it, and then we have this great dialogue going on. We're really teaching each other, and at the end of every class, if we have time, and we usually do, I will have people read for each other, which is really the best way to learn. If there's no other way to learn tarot, that would be the way to do it.
And if the class is giving you new ideas, to immediately put them into practice is one of the best ways to take them home with you at the end of it all.
That's one of the things I learned. The other thing I think is going to be interesting is having Margaret and I teach in succession. That will give people plenty of time to think between classes about what they're doing, and certainly it'll enrich everybody's experience, because Margaret and I bring different things to the class.
Yeah.
But so do everybody else who comes. So
Mhm.
it's really good.
But to have that ability to go back and even ask the same question again and get a different perspective because it's Margaret and not you, I think there's a huge value to that.
Yeah, she and I read
So-
quite differently.
Yeah.
I was not surprised, but I also know that everybody develops their own relationship with the cards.
Yeah.
I remember when I met her, I said, "How did you choose which of these decks?" And she said, "The ones that spoke to me." And I hope you don't mind me, Margaret, saying that. But I, at that point in my tarot development, did not yet have an animistic approach to the decks. And now that I do, now that I believe not just decks, but everything has a spirit and a living embodiment inside of it, a consciousness of some description.
Yeah.
Now it's important to me to recognize these decks, which when you have dozens and dozens of decks, guess what? You need to spend time with your children.
Yes.
You can't just have one over here in the corner
Yeah.
forever. So
Well,
I'm bringing decks every time. And if you don't bring a deck, or if you do, you can still say, "Hey, let me try out that deck."
Yeah.
Unlike some tarot readers, I am not creeped out by people touching the cards or touching my cards,
Yeah.
because I consider them to be individuals, and they also get a chance to have a relationship with everybody else.
Well, and you will, if you don't practice with each of the decks with some frequency, you don't figure out that, oh, for me, this deck is the best one if someone asks for a relationship reading,
Exactly.
or this one's the better deck if they're asking about finances and jobs. You develop those relationships by practicing with them over time. So I don't think it's unusual to see, particularly the professional readers here, like you, come in with not always the same selection of decks to choose from for people, because you've got to incorporate and play. It's just sort of like I have a living room with lots of bookcases and they're all full of herb books. And I have the bookcase with the ones I'm going to refer to. These are my standards. These are the ones I will go here for my questions and my comparisons. I've got the shelf of the Chinese that I like best, the shelf of the Western, the Tibetan, the umami. I have a lot of books. I don't know if you noticed. There's like 6 bookcases in my living room.
Oh, wow.
Floor to ceiling bookcases of books with
You
books.
got me beat.
And you have to know what's in them. You have to understand them to be able to choose which ones go on the special bookshelves, which is really what they are at that point. And again, I said it with the tarot decks. I say it with the books all the time. It's never a waste to buy a deck or a book. It's, if nothing else, it's insulation. You're buying an inch at a time.
Yeah, that is so true. I've never, until I realized how alive everything is, and I saw and felt, like in some of my Reiki practice that I do, it took a while for me to say, "Hey, this Reiki practice feels a lot like tarot reading," because you're reading out of the same "quote unquote" invisible book, the same fund of experiences, the same spirit or geist or ruach, whatever you want to call it, informs all of those things, and yet they are radically different depending on what a person needs. And so I think the more tools we can have in our chest to help people spiritually, the better off we'll be.
Absolutely.
And herbs is part of that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Spiritually and physically, it's and psychologically, it's incredibly important. But I'm realizing I didn't tell anybody today yet when they can come and get a tarot reading from you as well.
Oh, there you go.
Or anyone else. So let me take a couple minutes.
Yeah, use the
I'm going to
calendar.
my fabulous calendar that we have up, and it sits right in front of the tarot readers area, so you can always check on this, and it's on a few of the doors, like the door behind me. But if you would like to get a reading with RavenWolf here, he is in only twice a week. It's Tuesdays from noon to 3 and Thursdays from 3 to 6. So either lunch hour or after work works. You just got to pick your day. And of course, you'll be here on Sunday.
Yes.
With the class. Margaret, the other tarot reader who teaches, she still has a regular 9 to 5. You can only catch her. If you want a woman's touch on your tarot reading, you can only catch her on Saturdays from 3 to 6. That's it. That's the only time she's here. And we have one other excellent tarot reader, which is Eshu, and he is here all day on Sundays because he's been subbing and filling in for Tracy. We're hoping she's coming back, but he is our #1 substitute for her. He's also here all day on Wednesdays and Fridays, so noon to 6. And on Saturdays, he does the first half of Saturday from noon to 3, and then Margaret comes in. If you are looking for an oracle reading, or even just a tour of an incredibly cool and at this point completely unique oracle deck, because the GoFundMe has not launched to get the deck printed for everyone else to buy it, is probably Daryl will do his oracle readings at Mondays from noon to 2, Tuesdays 3 to 6, and Thursdays noon to 3. And if you are looking for dream interpretation, Morpheus is here on Mondays from 2 to 6. He's very, very good. And I've listened to him do dream interpretations with people who've really done their research. Like I looked up all the meanings and it doesn't make any sense. And he can walk you through you interpreting what it means for you as opposed to what the internet says or what that book you picked up says. The books are helpful, the internet's helpful, but sometimes you need to talk it through with somebody who's done this a lot and understands it. So I recommend him for that.
And we do get a lot of tarot readers who come in for readings.
Yes.
Because, it's not quite like a physician who has a fool for impatient if he's tuning himself.
Yeah.
But there is that element that you need that distance. You need to have another person say the things to you that you need to hear.
Oh, the first person who taught me anything about tarot at all drove herself insane by giving herself readings. And she was very clear that that's what she did. And I don't mean that she drove herself to distraction and she just didn't, no, she checked into the psychiatric wing of the local hospital at one point. She literally drove herself nuts doing tarot readings for herself, which taught me a very important lesson at the young age of about 15 or 16, which is get an outside perspective every once in a while, please. It pays off.
That's not just true for tarot. That's true for herbology, astrology,
life
in general. Yeah, boy, I think it's part of a healthy breakfast. As they used to say on Saturday morning TV.
Yep, I once had a teacher in a spiritual sense say, if everybody in this room tells me I'm crazy, then I think I will think about it. But until then, I think I'm just going to go forward. Eventually, we all did.
There you go.
And I hope they figured some stuff out as a result, but I don't know because they were, from our perspective, a little crazy. And one by one, we all had to say goodbye for our own mental health.
I have one last thing to say.
Yeah.
I didn't vet this with you.
No, that's okay.
But you probably detected today that Magus Books and Herbs is not just Wiccan.
That's true.
And I really appreciate that. I love Wicca. I practice, but I do not think anybody has a corner on the truth. And this particular store has a variety of religious traditions, both the implementalia for them and also the books. So if you're looking for a particular religion that you think may not be here, come on in because it's probably here anyway.
Or just a place to exchange ideas. I think when we have a party going here, that some of the coolest conversations happen. And whether that's in the classroom or on the store floor, it can be really interesting just to be in the room for some of the conversations that happen. So it's just fun to hang.
Yeah. Don't forget to check out the list of classes.
Yes.
Because it does change and it is developing all the time.
That is true. Yep. And that right now the QR code will take you right to our events page on magisbooks.com. And of course, we're here 360 days of the year from noon to 6. Those are our operating hours. And I hope to see you all here again, or at least for you to see us, to see you at the website, or to see you here in the shop.
Sunday, 1:30.
1:30. Tea and tarot?
Tea and tarot.
Tea and tarot will be good. There's some black tea here and some cups, and we've got hot water.
Or BYOT.
Or BYOT. That works too. In the meantime, know that everybody here thinks that you are amazing, because how can we not? And we just love that you are an amazing, magical person. And we want you to have a good week. So have some fun out there today if you can. I'll be here until, I don't know, 8, because I'll be teaching tonight. But I'm still going to have a good time the whole day long. Make sure you do too if you can, okay? In the meanwhile, we'll see you again soon, I hope. Thank you so much for doing the little magical things you can do right here in social media land. And blessed be.
Blessed be.